Hi folks, and welcome to this final part of my cat project. So this is what the cat looked like at the end of my last video. I'd added the ears and completed the head. And I got this battery box so that we could simplify things. So Paul, you've connected the battery box and there's only 2 wires there. So are they just connected to 2 wires here?
Yes, the black lead from the battery box goes to the black lead from the cat. And the red lead of the battery box goes to the brown wire.
So why are there so many wires here?
Right, all the other wires are off the mode switch that was in the foot. 2 of the wires we found out, I think it was the green and the yellow, have to be connected together to be in the on mode.
Right, and 2 different wires have to be connected together to be in the try me mode.
That's right, but you didn't want the try me mode, you were just
I
interested
didn't.
in turning it on and off.
Yeah. So this foam just arrived today. It's only just a little bit deeper than the original foam, so should be a good replacement. So we've removed the tail mechanism. It's not far enough from the body for fitting in the new body I want to make. These wires that attach it to the casing, they're too short. So Paul is going to lengthen these wires for me. So Paul's lengthened the wires now. He's put really long wires on it. So I've wrapped some foam around the cat so that it makes it the same length as the grey cat. And I've put a hole here in the foam for the tail mechanism to go through, and a hole here for the wire going to the touch sensor. So I'll switch the cat on and see if it's still working okay. See if this tail mechanism, yes, tail mechanism seems to be working fine. So I've got this wadding and I've made a rectangular shape, sewn it together with the sewing machine, and I've used that to cover the cat's body, the foam, to hold everything together in place. So what I've done now is I made a sort of cushion with this wadding and some stuffing, and I'm hoping that this will allow me to give the cat more shape. And I've made a slit down here so that I can get the wire through for the touch sensor. So next I'm going to put some pins in this for where I want to put the stitches to give it a bit of shape. So I've put some pins in now where I want little tucks, and I'll stitch now where I've put the pins. So with Paul's help, we've bound some bias binding around where the motor's housed, the plastic that the motor's housed in for the tail, and we've bound that around so that I can sew that onto the cat's body. So I've got that sewn into the cat now. I've sewn the tucks in to give it a bit of shape, and I've also made a leg, so that's out of the foam with some wadding over it. So I've now made the second front leg and put it on, and using the Joy for All as a base, I've copied the back leg, so there's one main part here, then one main part here, and then the foot. So I've copied that for the back legs, so that's for one side. and that's the other back leg. So I've got all the legs on now, and I've put extra padding around using the wadding and stuffing to cover all the body, including the battery box underneath. So I've used wadding underneath like a kind of flap that I can pull back to access the battery box, but it covers it up so it's nice and soft. So it has become quite a fat cat, but it's very cuddly. And I've completely covered the tail mechanism housing with stuffing and wadding. So that's it for making the body now. And next I'm going to work on the fur. So the first part of the fur covering I'm going to work on is going to be the front legs, because I've decided to redo the leg covering because I'm going to make the paw pad out of a different substance. So I've made the paw pad out of silicone. I've never done that before. I've only used polymer clay, and I'm really pleased with the result. It's softer and more flexible than polymer clay. So I'm going to go ahead and sew that into the paw. And that's what it looks like sewn into the fur. We also put a slight amount of super glue around the edges of the pads. It won't stick to the silicone, but it just helps to seal the edge of the fur to make it look neater and stop it fraying. But I'm really pleased with that. And here it is sewn into a paw. I am super pleased with that. It really does look like a cat's paw. So this is what it looks like with the fur sewn on for the leg, and I'll try it on the cat now. And this is what the leg looks like, the fur covering on the cat. I'm really pleased with that. So I need to make another paw pad and the fur covering for the other front leg. So I've got the other front leg covered now, and the next thing I'm going to work on is making the covering for the tail. So this is what the tail looks like, and I'm going to try it on the mechanism now. So I've just pinned it on to see if it moves okay, and it does. So I want my cat to have a white chest, so I've just pinned this piece of white fur fabric to the sort of shoulder, the fur that goes on the shoulder. And I'm going to sew that and see how it looks. So I've got it sewn on that side, and I need to pin it and sew it on this side. So it's sewn on this side as well now, so that's both legs sewn onto the white fur of the chest. And I've been working on the fur covering for the back. So I've sewn some white and sand and caramel pieces together, joined them down the middle of the back so the fur lies in the right way. And I've pinned the caramel piece to the leg and to the white fur on the chest, and I'm going to sew that bit next. So that's sewn on now, and next I'm going to work on the paw pads and the fur covering for the back legs, because that's going to sort of join in here. So I've got the back leg covered now, And I've pinned another piece of the caramel fur onto the body, and I'm going to sew that on the machine now. So I've sewn the caramel fur onto the other pieces of fur now, and I've pinned that caramel fur onto the caramel fur of the leg, and I've also cut a piece of the sand fur to go underneath the cat, and I've pinned that onto the other side of the leg and onto the white fur, and I've pinned on the zip. So I've got the zip sewn in and the sandy coloured fur sewed where I had it pinned before, and I've put a piece of caramel fur and pinned it to the top of the leg and pinned it to the white fur on the back and pinned it to the tail. So next I need to sew that piece in, and once that's sewn I'll make the leg covering for the last leg, cut the last piece of fur to fill in, and the last piece of fur, which will be the sand coloured fur, that will sew on the other side of the zip. So I've got that sand piece of fur sewn onto the other side. It's sewn to the zip in the middle and pretty much covered the zip up. I've sewn all of this area that was just pinned before, and I've got the foot made and part of the leg. So I need to finish the top of the leg with the caramel fur, sew that to the fur that's already on the cat, and fill a little piece in here, and then it will be finished. And finally the cat is finished. This is what it looks like underneath, and this is what it looks like right side up. And I really must admit, I never expected it to be so big. I didn't plan on it being so huge, it's just the way that it turned out. But one thing's for sure, it is super soft and cuddly. There's a definite advantage about the size of it, that it's just super cuddly. You can put these legs round your neck and it just lies flat. And because of the weight, it kind of feels realistic, like a real animal. And it's just super soft and cuddly and really warm. So I am really pleased with the result, but there are certain things I would do differently on another project, and I have actually recently got another of these cats to start another project. So when I worked on the face on this cat, I hadn't discovered flocking at that point, but now I would definitely flock the muzzle. And on the next project I want to make a polymer clay muzzle, so it's not flat like this one. And I found a fantastic recording of a cat's purr, and on my next project I'm going to use that as the sound instead of the sounds that are on the original cat. So I hope you'll join me for that project, folks. But that's it for this project and for this video. Thanks for watching as always, and see you next time.